Alrighty, friends, so now it's time to check out our poem for today, The Red Wheelbarrow. As we read this poem, we will be able to discuss the gist, and I want you guys to keep our vocabulary words in line. So keep in mind, every time that you see lines or every time that you see stanzas, you want to be looking for lines, and you want to be looking for groups of lines or stanzas while we read the poem. And then we will practice some vocabulary strategies at the end to talk about, again, some of those words we saw in the beginning after we read our poem. So we're going to go ahead and read. And like I said, we're thinking about the gist. And inside, or as part of the gist, we're going to have the topic. The topic for today is going to be who or what the poem is mostly about. So while I read the Red Wheelbarrow out loud, I want you to be thinking, who or what is the red wheelbarrow mostly about? That's going to be our topic. Our gist is going to be our big moments, or what is the most important things that we're going to learn. So what are the most important things that happen that teach us something from the poem? So again, topic is who or what it's mostly about. Our gist is going to be what are the most important things we learn, just like we've been practicing during Article a Day. Now that we have those things locked in our brain, we're going to look over here and read our poem together. The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. So that was a short poem, and I want to take the time to highlight some of the vocabulary words that we talked about. So I'm going to highlight each line in orange. So much depends, that's line 1. Upon is line 2. Even though upon is only one word, that's going to be line 2. It's the only word in that line. It's like a row in the poem is our lines. Here we see that there's a space before our next group of poems. So this tells me that so much depends upon those 2 lines are a stanza. So I'm going to circle that stanza in red. Switch back to orange, and I'm looking for my lines. A red wheel, that's another line, and barrow is the next line. Again, we have a space, and those group of 2 lines make up stanza 2. The group of lines and the space separating it from the stanza before tells me I have another group or another stanza. Looking for my lines again, glazed with rain, water. These are each a line. Glazed with rain is one line, water is another. Again, they're like rows across the poem. And these 2 group of lines, or these 2 group of rows, are going to make our third stanza, because we see now that each stanza is a group of 2 lines. Stanza 1 has 2 orange lines, stanza 2 has 2 orange lines, stanza 3 has 2 orange lines, and for our last stanza, we have beside the white chicken is the first line. I'm sorry, beside the white is the first line, and chickens is the second line. And those 2 lines beside the white chickens make our last stanza, stanza 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas, or 4 groups of lines, and each stanza has 1, 2 lines. 2 lines, and each group of 2 is a stanza. Now that we've had a chance to read the poem, we've talked about the different parts of the poem, we want to think about what is the topic. What is this poem mostly about? We don't have a who, so I want you to be thinking, what does this poem talk about? Let's read it one more time and think, what is this about? The red wheelbarrow. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. So a red wheelbarrow, is a type of tool usually used on a farm, and it has 2 handles and a wheel, and you can put things inside of it to move them around. The poem is telling me so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow. So I know that this wheelbarrow is going to be very important because a lot of things depend on it. We think back to our vocabulary word, we know that depends means based on or important to. So the red wheelbarrow is important. The red wheelbarrow is outside and it's glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. So I know that there's a red wheelbarrow. I know that it's important, and I know what it looks like. It's glazed with rain, and I know what it's next to, the white chickens. All of those things tell me more about what? Let's think about our title, the red wheelbarrow. Stanza 1 tells me the red wheelbarrow is important. So much depends upon. Stanza 2 tells me what is so important, a red wheelbarrow, just like the title. Stanza 3 tells me what the wheelbarrow looks like, and stanza 4 tells me where it is. All of those things, what they have in common for our main topic is the red wheelbarrow. Now, to think about our gist, we want to think about what else do we know about the red wheelbarrow? When we tell the gist, we want to use the important things we learned to retell. So if we retell this poem, we know we're going to talk about the red wheelbarrow. We know it's important. And what else can we say about the red wheelbarrow? Let's see, let's check our topic. So like I said, the topic is the red wheelbarrow because all of our stanzas in the poem tell us more about the red wheelbarrow. And our big moments, what we learn from the poem to be able to retell the poem is that it's covered or glazed in rain and it's near chickens. Those are some of the big moments because stanza 1 and stanza 2 really tell me about the topic. The last two stanzas tell me what I learned about the topic, which is that the red wheelbarrow is glazed with rain and it's beside chickens. So we want to think about how can we combine those details for the gist. So here we have our poem again. This first box is going to tell us the topic. So this right here is our topic. The red wheelbarrow is very important. And we know that looking from stanza 1, and we know that also looking from stanza 2. So we have our arrows pointing to box 1 because those tell us the topic. But for the gist, we combined the big moments or the things that we learned about to be able to retell the poem. So looking at the second box for the gist, it says, there's an important red wheelbarrow covered in rain next to chickens. This gives me more details than the topic, and it tells me what I learned from the poem. I was able to collect these details from stanza 3 and stanza 4, glazed with rainwater. That tells me that the red wheelbarrow is covered in rain beside the white chickens. This tells me that it's next to chickens. So I combine my topic along with what I learned to make the gist. The topic is the red wheelbarrow is very important, and the gist is there's an important red wheelbarrow covered in rain next to chickens.